Welcome back, friends. It's DJ Montague. I wanted to do a little review on my opinions on the closed beta test for Elyon. We got a chance to play it about a week and a half ago now, and I wanted to simmer on some thoughts I had about it and really not go super in depth, but give my personal opinion on kind of what happened in the closed beta test 1. I've played some other games in the meantime, played some Phantasy Star Online 2, played some Bless Unleashed, which was pretty mediocre, but that's a whole nother video that I'll probably get into. But I just wanted to touch on some base systems in Elyon, the leveling experience, PvP, the cash shop, my thoughts on it, what we've seen so far, and some of the end game. So let's get into it. So we're going to start off with runes. I think so far the rune system is one of the coolest I've seen in really any MMO for customization. Having the 6 different trees, colors, whatever you want to call it, for customizing your character, I think is really rad. And being able to really tailor to how you want to do damage or how you want to be defensive or supportive, it's pretty cool. I also appreciate that the supports tree in the rune system is not completely useless for DPS. I thought that was pretty rad. But as a system, I think the rune system is a big thumbs up, and they introduce it to you in a way that takes a minute to digest because it's a pretty confusing system that it's tied to actual pieces that you put into your gear and your skill points and all that stuff. How it's all tied together is kind of confusing, but like once you really get into it and you're like, oh wow, okay, so this is what I could do here. I think that they introduced it to you in such a way that's really well done, with the offhand item that has 6 open slots in it. You can just kind of be like, all right, well, I really want to get into the purple tree and start learning these double-edged sword runes that you can get. You can do that with this system they have in place with the baseline runes that they give you through leveling and stuff like that. Obviously this is just like early game stuff, but it helps you kind of identify what kind of character you want to make. I think that's a good system. So as the first system that you kind of get into, I think it's good. I think they did a good job. The second system they kind of get you into is a skill system. You get your baseline white skills and green skills, and then having to learn your blue skills and purple skills is really frustrating because like once you get up to level 40 you feel like you should be like unlocked and free to do what you want, but you're still kind of locked behind having to grind for other items to get more skills, or more versions of the same skills that you already have, like the better versions, the ones that cost more skill attribute points or whatever it is. I think personally the skill system is cool, and I just don't want it to be a grind. That's all. It's like I want to be able to use my character to the fullest potential when I'm leveling, rather than, you know, 4 months down the line I unlock the skill that applies to the build I want to play. So I would say like the skill system that you unlock skills is not the best, but it's still fun because unlocking things in any game is pretty fun. And that kind of brings me to the Sephiroth system. I think they did a really good job with the Sephiroth system, as like a third skill tree almost. It's just like accenting your character and incentivizing you to continue playing. The Sephiroth system changes every 3 months or so, and it's kind of like a season, and I think that's really, really awesome. The only thing I don't like is that you can only farm it a certain amount of hours a week. You have 7 hours that you could farm that Sephiroth experience a week, and there's particular dungeons and they're only open certain times of the day. I don't think that's going to be really good for the Western audience, because if somebody has like 15 hours on their day off that they're like, you know what, I don't have the kids today, my wife's not here, I just want to get down and play some Elyon, they're only going to possibly be able to play 3 hours of that system maximum a day, and I just don't think that that's worth it for Western audiences. I think maybe for Eastern audiences it could work, but it still incentivizes and rewards the people that play 10 to 12 hours a day. And then since we're talking about all this stuff, talking about runes, skills, let's talk about gear. Gear so far in the closed beta test was like few and far between, so I don't think that's the same system they have in place. With gear, I think we didn't really get a chance to test a whole lot of it in the closed beta test. We just kind of got some bare bones systems, which it was an old patch for Korea. They did say afterward that this wasn't the most up-to-date patch, which didn't have Slayer, obviously, which we are going to get with the closed beta test too. So we were testing an old system. I don't really know, so I can't really like speak on it, but it seems like if this gear system was in place, it would be like a pretty big, you know, like you're not getting a whole lot of gear, you're not getting stuff towards your build, you're not getting the set bonuses, you're not getting the passives you need. So with this kind of game and the amount of grind you need to do with gear, you're gonna need to have a plentiful amount of gear, whether it be the auction house or drops. So I guess I can't really touch on the gear system so far, but I will touch on the leveling experience because we got to really go in depth a little more with that than really any other system. The early game leveling, awesome, very Western friendly, a lot of quests, a lot of just kind of running around doing stuff, and completionist stuff. So like when you finished a zone, you were just like, yeah, I'm done with this zone, I can move on to the next one. Leveling on the map and seeing like, hey, this zone is for this particular level. Cool, that helps a lot to let me know where I should be going. It's kind of like that funnel, but it also kind of puts you in places where PvP can happen, which is cool. Since I'm a big proponent of PvP. But once you get higher in the levels, like level 36 and beyond, you're looking at a pretty good grind. And I don't know how well that will do for the Western audience. I kind of like it. I don't mind grinding all that much. It's kind of like something you zone out with, but your quests maybe at level 40 gave you 5% of your level, whereas at level 25, they gave you 70% of your level. So it's kind of hard to say how the system's going to go across, but it is a grind system. This is an Eastern MMO. This is built for Eastern players, and they are known to grind. So, you know, we'll see how that goes in the West. But leveling aside, let's get into PvP. What I think of PvP so far. I absolutely love the arena system so far, other than the rating. I like being able to queue for 1v1, 2v2, 3v3. I thought that was a lot of fun. I had a good time doing PvP. One thing I didn't like was that battlegrounds were on a time-gated thing, similar to Arcade with like Halcyon or Halcyonian, I forget what it was called, but you have a certain time of day when you can do a certain thing, and I just don't see how that works out for Western players. It doesn't really incentivize like, hey, play this battleground. It incentivizes it to play this battleground during this time, and if you don't, you miss out on everything that you could possibly gain from it, and that's not fun. Like, I want to be able to queue up for a battleground, and hopefully a few other people are there too. The way I would want to incentivize like having people queue for that battleground is like, hey, during this time you get a bonus, but every other time you get the normal amount of whatever you're grinding, honor or PvP rating or whatever it is. But if you want to incentivize, give us a bonus. Don't like pigeonhole us into not being able to play a battleground because it's not available at this time. It's only available on Saturday and Sunday. And that sucks for people that work weekends. I work weekends. I know a lot of friends that also work weekends. Like that nighttime, like I just miss out on that. So that's kind of a bummer. But otherwise, so far, PvP systems are okay, at least the arena. I don't like how things are ranked by wins. It's just like who can grind harder. It's like, whatever. I did like the battlegrounds when I did get in them, but again, time-gated stuff. The arena gear was good. This is like, okay, done. It's just like, use it with your arena points or your honor points or whatever it is, buy it. Cool. I did want to touch on something that I would like to see in the future, but I don't think it's going to happen because this is a very PvP-oriented game, and I do think they want to have you have FOMO, like fear of missing out on something, especially with gear. Another thing with arena is I would like to see equalized arena, personally. I'm coming from a fighting game background where I want to see people on an equal playing field playing for something. I don't want to have gear, minor discrepancies in gear, become a factor in why I lose. Like if I get that 1% chance that that other person has to crit, why did I lose to that? You know, that's kind of a random factor. I don't always hate that system, but in general, I want equalized thing. I want to know that that person beat me in an even playing field. And that was always one of the problems I had with the Arcade was like, somebody can hit me with their wallet, you know? It's like, it was just like a bummer. It's no matter how good I am at the game, sometimes you just lose. And I guess that's real life, but I play video games to get away from real. So, you know, it's one of those things. I think we all do. We all play video games for fun. Why not make it fun for the higher skilled person, I guess? I don't know. And that kind of brings me to my next point, talking about the cash shop. The cash shop, so far, we haven't seen a whole lot of it, but there are some items that I've seen from the Korean client, like XP potions. I saw that you can get them in the English client. I don't know if you can buy them from the store. I don't think you can, from what I've read so far. Pretty much the cash shop is only for the luminous stuff, I guess, here and there, but and then cosmetic. But if they start selling like EXP potions and stuff like that, it just comes along the same lines of the boost system, like it's pay for convenience. It's like, why did you make leveling so hard if you're just going to make it boosted later on? Incentivizing us to spend money to bypass your system. Why not make your system fun in the first place, you know? I'm totally cool with cosmetics being sold in the shop. I do want to look cool. I would like to get it from doing things in the game, but I understand that these companies want to make money, and looking cool is one of the ways that they can do so. You want to look cool in real life, you better go buy it, unless you make it yourself. So I guess it's along the same lines. But I'm going to talk about that and the EXP potions and what could potentially happen with the cash shop. We'll go and talk about endgame. We didn't get a real good chance to test out endgame because, I mean, we only got to level, I think the highest I saw was 45, which is pretty crazy in terms of how much experience that takes. Like, I got to level 40 and I played a lot. So seeing somebody that was 45 was pretty what is happening? Like, the average, really high end player was 43. So they probably played the Korean client, knew some of the systems, and had a level faster than most other people, while people are just kind of smooshing through the game, playing that mid-game time. But yeah, endgame, we didn't get a whole lot of experience with it. I want to see what happens with more of the endgame systems, like the breakthrough gear. I didn't really get a chance to touch the breakthrough gear myself. I touched one piece and I broke it, which I think Western players are going to be pretty pissed when they make their first breakthrough piece and it's yeah, I'm going to make this +8 item, and then all of a sudden, done, gone. That's going to be a lot of rage on the internet, I feel like. So I don't know, this whole system seems like it's trying to bridge the gap between the Eastern and Western crowd to try and cater to both, but feels like we're kind of up in the air until we see CBT2 and release. I think so far, if this was the game that we got to play, kind of probably not going to play it for too long. It was fun, but from what I've seen of the Korean client, that's more of a game I'm inclined to play for a good amount of time. Investing several months into this game, making guides and videos on this game, which is what I want to do with this channel. So yeah, I think that kind of wraps up what I'm looking at with Elyon. The CBT1 test, it wasn't it was super extensive, but there were some systems in place that we got to touch that I feel could use some work in the West. But we'll see. We'll see if we get a different style of game. Probably not. It's probably going to be the same, Arc Age, Bless Unleashed, and Lost Ark will probably get very similar games to what they released in the East. So thank you guys for stopping by. Make sure you follow me on Twitch, twitch.tv/DJ Montague, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.